waking up one morning and your body is on fire. Your head is pounding, your throat feels like you swallowed sand, and there is absolutely nothing you can do about it. No pharmacy down the street, no doctor you can call, no medicine in the cabinet, not even a cabinet, just you, a cave, a fire that's slowly dying, and a body that is completely falling apart. That was the reality for our ancestors for most of human history. And yet, they didn't just lie down and die. They fought back, they figured things out, they built systems of healing from literally nothing. And some of what they came up with will genuinely blow your mind. So let's start at the very beginning. And I mean the very beginning. Early humans lived in small groups, tribes, maybe 20 to 50 people at most. And in those groups, if one person got sick, everyone noticed. Because you couldn't afford to lose anyone. Every single person had a role. Every person mattered for survival. So when someone went down with a fever or broke a bone or started coughing up blood, the group didn't just move on. They stopped, they paid attention, they tried to help. But here's the problem. They had absolutely no idea what was actually happening inside the human body. No concept of bacteria, no concept of viruses, no understanding of infection or inflammation or any of it. So what do you do when someone is suffering and you have no explanation for why? You look for one, and the explanation they landed on made complete sense given what they knew. Something got inside them, something invisible, something evil, a demon, a spirit, an angry god who decided this particular person needed to suffer. Because what else could explain it? Your friend was perfectly healthy yesterday. Today he can barely stand. You can't see anything wrong with him on the outside. So whatever is destroying him must be on the inside. And it must have gotten there somehow. This wasn't stupidity. This was actually logical thinking with the information available. If you don't know about microscopic organisms, supernatural explanation is the next best thing. And this belief that sickness was a spiritual attack shaped everything about how early humans approached healing for thousands and thousands of years. So who did you go to when you got sick? You went to the most important person in the tribe, the shaman, the healer, the medicine man, whatever name different cultures gave them. These people existed in essentially every ancient society on Earth, and their job was unlike any job that exists today. They were part doctor, part priest, part psychologist, part community leader. They were the person who stood between the living and the dead and refused to let the dead win. When you got sick, the shaman would come to you. They'd assess you, they'd look at your symptoms, your color, your breathing, and then they'd go to work, rituals chanting, smoke from burning herbs, animal bones, specific plants, percussion, drums, and rhythm to supposedly drive out the evil presence. They had entire systems of healing that had been passed down through generations, refined over centuries, tested on real patients with real results. And here is the part that surprises most people. It sometimes worked, not because of magic, not because the demon actually left, but because of something we now call the placebo effect. And before you dismiss that as fake, stop. Because the placebo effect is one of the most fascinating and genuinely powerful things in all of medicine. When you believe you are being healed, truly believe it, deeply believe it, your body actually responds. Your brain releases endorphins, your cortisol levels drop, your immune system gets a boost, inflammation decreases, your body shifts from survival mode into recovery mode. And when the entire community gathers around you, prays for you, fights for you, believes you're going to make it, that effect multiplies. You're not just getting medicine, you're getting hope, and hope has a biological signature. Ancient humans discovered the placebo effect completely by accident, thousands of years before we had a name for it or understood the mechanism behind it. They just knew that ritual and community made sick people better. So they kept doing it, but they weren't only relying on rituals. Early humans were also doing something that we rarely give them credit for. They were scientists, slow, patient, generational scientists with no labs and no notebooks but real methodology. They watched animals closely for thousands of years. When a dog gets sick, it eats grass. When certain animals are injured, they seek out specific plants. Our ancestors noticed this, filed it away, started experimenting themselves. They'd chew on something, wait, see what happened. Did it help the pain? Did it make the fever go down? Did it kill the person? Over generations, entire libraries of plant knowledge were built up entirely through observation and experimentation. Trial and error on a timescale we can barely comprehend. And some of what they discovered is genuinely remarkable. Willow bark. Early humans across multiple continents independently discovered that chewing willow bark reduced pain and brought down fever. They had no idea why. They just knew it worked, passed that knowledge down, used it for thousands of years. Turns out willow bark contains salicin, which is the direct chemical precursor to the active ingredient in aspirin. They had aspirin thousands of years before we synthesized it in a lab. They just didn't know what to call it. Turmeric, used in ancient Indian medicine for thousands of years for inflammation and infection. Modern science has now confirmed its anti-inflammatory properties. They were right. Garlic, used in ancient Egypt as both food and medicine. We now know it has genuine antimicrobial properties. Again, they were right. These weren't lucky guesses. This was the result of thousands of years of careful human observation. Slow science, generational science, but real science. Now here is the part of this story that genuinely blew my mind the first time I heard it. Archaeologists have found human skulls, ancient skulls, some of them over 10,000 years old. And these skulls have perfectly round holes drilled into them. Not cracks from injury, not decay, perfectly round, deliberate, surgical. And here's what makes it even wilder. The bone around those holes had healed. New bone growth around the edges, which means those people didn't die on the operating table. They survived. They lived for months or years after someone took a sharp stone tool and drilled a hole into their skull. This procedure is called trepanation, and it is the oldest known surgical procedure in human history. Why did they do it? Most likely to release whatever evil spirit was trapped inside, causing seizures, severe headaches, or what we would now call mental illness. Wrong diagnosis, but here's the thing, drilling into the skull oil actually does relieve intracranial pressure in some cases. It genuinely helps certain conditions. They stumbled into effective neurosurgery with stone tools 10,000 years ago. And the truly staggering part, trepanation was practiced independently across multiple ancient cultures: Europe, South America, Africa, Asia. Completely separate civilizations with no contact with each other all figured out the same procedure on their own. That's not coincidence, that's human ingenuity. But of all the things early humans did when someone got sick, the thing that surprises people the most is also the most simple. They took care of each other. Archaeologists have found skeletons of early humans with severe injuries and serious disabilities. Broken bones that fully healed, conditions that would have made it completely impossible to hunt, gather food, or keep up with the group. And these people survived for years after their injury. That means someone fed them every single day. Someone protected them. Someone carried them when they couldn't walk. Someone sat with them through the night when they were in pain, with no expectation of anything in return, just because they were part of the group. We're talking about 40,000 years ago, before agriculture, before civilization, before writing or cities or governments or any of it. And humans were already doing this, already refusing to leave their sick and wounded behind. There is a Neanderthal skeleton, one of our closest ancient relatives found in Iraq, known as Shanidar 1. This individual was blind in one eye, had a withered arm, was partially deaf, and had severe arthritis. And he lived to around 40 years old. In the Paleolithic era, 40 was genuinely old. He could not have survived without others actively, deliberately keeping him alive for years. That skeleton is one of the most moving things in all of archaeology, because it proves that compassion, real, costly, selfless compassion, is not a modern invention. It is ancient. It is built into us. So what does all of this mean? It means that every single thing we have in modern medicine, every pill, every surgery, every treatment protocol, is built on a foundation that goes back tens of thousands of years. It was built by people with no technology, no education in the modern sense, no understanding of biology or chemistry or physics. Just observation, experimentation, community, and an absolute refusal to accept that sickness gets to win. The shaman chanting over a dying patient at 3 in the morning. The healer experimenting with a new plant because the old treatment stopped working. The tribe member who stayed behind to care for someone who couldn't keep up. All of them were doing the same thing that every doctor, nurse, and researcher is doing today. Refusing to give up. And that refusal, that deeply human, ancient, unstoppable refusal to accept death as the final answer, is the reason you are alive right now. Think about that.